After months of anticipation, the 2012 presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party has indicated he will contest the flag bearer position of the party when nominations open in August this year. It is a decision which appears to have been well received by a good number of the party's leaders and grassroots supporters. In fact, many of whom say he should go unopposed. Some of them who spoke to Joynews believe he is the best candidate to secure victory for the party in the 2016 elections.
For months now, supporters and sympathizers of the NPP had been kept in suspense as to what the political future of their 2012 presidential candidate would be. The long wait, coupled with the several meetings with Nana Addo and the various supporters groups of the party, heightened their expectations even further. But nonetheless, many took time to dance the day away whilst patiently awaiting his announcement. And when finally Nana Addo announced his decision to contest the flag bearer position of the party, the announcement came as a huge sigh of relief to the many exuberant and die-hard supporters of the party who had gathered at his residence.
I thank the Almighty God that I'm able to say that I feel spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, intellectually, physically, and patriotically strong enough to remain in the hurly-burly of frontline politics. With great humility, therefore, I can announce that when the party opens nominations sometime this year, I shall be ready, God willing, to contest for the position of NPP presidential candidate for the 2016 general election.
Nana Addo stated that the decision to re-enter mainstream politics after a 6-month break followed several consultations with key leaders and grassroots supporters of the party. He debunked concerns about his age, noting that at 70 years, he was too young to lead the NPP into the 2016 elections.
I have been humbled by the loyalty, the confidence and trust that millions of Ghanaians have given to me. I thought about the huge disappointment that our loss brought to us all. I thought about the passing of time and the fact that I shall be 70 years old in a few days' time. I have asked hard questions of myself and of my body, and I have taken the opportunity to see my doctors both here in Ghana and in the United Kingdom. I examined my commitment and the fire that burns in my belly with the desire to lead Ghana.
He used the opportunity to call on the rank and file of the NPP to unite for victory in 2016.
Let us protect the dignity of the NPP in all that we do or say. We do not have to compete with the government in attracting negative publicity to ourselves.
Touching on his vision for Ghana, Nana Addo said he aimed to oversee the structural transformation of the economy and eliminate corruption. He said the current economic difficulties call for efficient leadership, noting that most of the problems can be traced to widespread corruption and the apparent inability on the part of the current leadership to fight it. Eric Curtis Howard for Joynews.
Well, some party leaders who have been speaking to the news team about Nana Addo's decision, particularly about his age, don't quite think it is an issue. As far as they are concerned, age is just a number and a flawed tool when it comes to assessing one's leadership capabilities.
Of a president to run the 440, to run 100 meters, to run the marathon, or to run the country. How do you run the country? It is by what's inside your head. And what is inside your head can be as sharp at 40 as it can be at 70 or 80. What we want is his vision. We're not looking for a dancing partner. We're looking for somebody who can take decisions about how this country should be run and can do something so that the young people can go and do some dancing, because they'll have some money in their pockets, they'll have a job, and they'll have some earnings.
Age is just a number. Looking at this man, what shows that he cannot continue working? Looking at the way he stood here, physically, emotionally, everything, the way he spoke, intellectually, he's fit to do the work of a president.
Okay. He said he's going to be 70 years young very soon. We have seen other leaders in the world who have performed tremendously well, including Ronald Reagan, who ran, I think, at 71, Abdul Diouf, I think, at 74, Mandela at 76. There are others. It doesn't depend on age. Politics works in eras. Probably in this era, what we are going to see is very mature, experienced governance.
That would be the best if we could go on opposed. It will bring unity within the party and factionalism will be minimized. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo gives the NPP the best opportunity for victory in 2016. And that is why some of us, and literally the majority of us, are anxious that he should lead us to that victory which we so badly need and this nation needs.
What we know from the eastern region coming here, we had spoken, we'd come to pay a visit to him when he arrived, you know, and our chairman made it very clear to him that it wasn't a matter of choice on his part. And so this is what we wanted and expected. As far as a lot of the NPP people are concerned, it wasn't a matter of, he didn't have a choice. This is what he was supposed to do. So this is good news. The truth is that, as far as I know, and I stand to be corrected, in our history, never in our history has a personality been called for by the people. Never in our history. So it tells you that there's a profound requirement of him to do what he has done today. And we're grateful to him and to God. He consulted with God, he consulted with our elders, he consulted with a whole lot of people. And as far as we're concerned, he's done the right thing.
Now, the ruling National Democratic Congress, SMIWA, curiously hailed Nana Akufo-Addo's decision to seek to lead the party in the 2016 general elections. According to the NDC, it will be another opportunity to defeat and politically retire him in 2016. General Secretary Johnson Ketia has been commenting about today's announcement by the 2012 presidential candidate.
We are welcoming him with enthusiasm. In fact, we can't wait for MPP to choose Nana Addo, because we have fought him. We know where his strengths are, where his weaknesses are, and I think Nana Addo will be an easy prey for us in 2016. And we are also happy that MPP, I hope we are wrong, but our reading of the situation is that MPP is not, they don't appear to be futuristic in their actions, because clearly you have a candidate who is going down the slope, and you still are investing your hopes in him. The future of NDC doesn't lie, MPP doesn't lie in Nana Addo, because take the results of Nana Addo in 2008. I mean, his results were better than 2012. So if you begin with maybe 4 regions, and then in 2012 you come down to 2 regions, you can imagine the number of regions he will be winning in 2016. Statistically speaking, that is it. Secondly, there is no, history is not on their side, because since the founding of this country, there has never been any situation where a defeated presidential candidate has emerged to defeat the incumbent president who defeated him in previous elections. It hasn't happened.
In other news, a member of parliament for Kankwe Central has called for the resignation of the mayor of Accra, who he says should be held responsible for the recent collapse of a multi-story uncompleted structure at Niboi town in the Kankwe North constituency. According to him, his failure to ensure those tasked to supervise and inspect buildings in the metropolis efficiently discharge their duties is enough grounds for his removal. He raised the matter on the floor after the MP for Wa East made a statement on the Niboi town disaster in which one life was lost.
The MP for Wa East, Amin Salifu, blamed the collapse of the structure on the unprofessional conduct of some building contractors and architects in the discharge of their duties. He outlined some bad practices he says must end if future tragedies are to be avoided.
We need to take a critical look at all permits granted for the construction of high-rise buildings to ascertain whether they meet the required standards. Building on inappropriate soil and above all, non-enforcement of laid-down rules and regulations relating to the construction of buildings. The capacity of the Building Inspectorate Division is strengthened to make it more effective to be able to conduct regular checks and monitoring while construction is in progress.
In seconding the statement, the MP for Kankwe Central, Patrick Yabuama, rather called for the head of the AMA boss.
On principle, the AMA boss should resign. Every country, the buck stops with the head of the metropolis. This is the second time this incident is happening, and the AMA boss is still sitting in his office. Very comfortable. And I entreat the government to create more municipalities if the AMA boss cannot manage the whole of Accra.
The Minister of Roads and Highways and MP for Sisala West, Alhaji Amin Amidu Suleimani, on his part, blamed building inspectors.
People who supervise, engineers or whatever they are, who supervise such buildings, when they collapse, those engineers should be held accountable and maybe their certificates withdrawn from practicing. The honorable colleague was talking about contractors. I have always said that we don't have bad contractors. The contractor is just a businessman. Those who certify the works of the contractors are the people who should be held responsible.
The import is that anything that can go wrong will go wrong unless it is prevented. Mr. Speaker, the only thing that will prevent the continual recurrence of these incidents is for us as a nation to begin to follow the rules.
MP for Sojaman Kofi Osei-Ameyaw urged the House to go beyond making statements on the tragedy and take action.
We all represent constituencies. Some of our constituents were entered Malcolm because they had the assurance that this House had put proper laws in place for their protection, and that the executive is going to execute and administer these laws effectively and properly to protect our citizens. Here we find our citizens gasping for air because they are under the bridge. And we sit in this House continuously debating these issues. Please, it is about time this House sent a message to the executive that we are not going to tolerate its laxity in terms of implementation of the law.
Still in Parliament, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Haruna Idrisu, was also on the floor to answer questions on what the ministry is doing to support the pineapple business and non-traditional export crops. He outlined some of the interventions made by the government and also said the ministry is ready to support any farmer who presents a viable business plan to the ministry.
A severe rainstorm Thursday evening, which lasted for more than an hour, has rendered many homeless in Nyashegu and Gumani, all in the Sangirigu district of the northern region. The rainstorm, which started at about 5 p.m., flooded many access roads in the district. Many of the houses in the district had their roofs also ripped off. Properties such as TV sets, refrigerators and other electrical appliances have also been destroyed, and electricity supply to the two communities has also been cut off. We have more news coming up after the break. Don't go away. President John Mahama has pledged to support the Accra Metropolitan Assembly to end dumping of fecal matter directly into the sea. The president today inspected trial of a technology that converts fecal matter into gas and manure set up at Lavender Hill by the AMA in collaboration with the Danish government. A report by Gifty Andoapia.
Rather than being discharged directly into the sea, fecal matter from all over Accra are dumped here in this dugout system, from where the fluids are drained and the solids processed into manure and gas. The Accra Mayor, Oko Vanderpoy, said the technology so far has been able to process 45 of about 170 trucks which used to dump into the sea. He adds the practice can be stopped entirely if 2 more of the conversion plants are installed.
And for the past 1 year, we've been testing it, and it has worked very well. Mr. President, every day we have 170 of the separate trucks that dump into the ocean. Currently, for the past 8 months now, about 40 to 45 trucks have been dumping into this system that we have constructed. It's one of the best things that has happened in Accra. It is our hope that in the future, in the very near future, we will build about 2 more right here so that we can stop, for the first time in the history of Accra, the traditional way of dumping into the ocean.
Owner and CEO of the initiating company, Slums in Ghana Limited, Frederick Sinison, convinced President Mahama of the technology's sustainability, explaining how it works.
2 minutes ago, fecal matter. And you see how dry it is already. From down there, yes. And it's an instantaneous process. And this is where the magic happens. It is all mechanical part of everything. Everything else is gravity fed, and that's why it is so sustainable, because with weather and wind and salt, it is not easy environment for machines. But we have found something that we believe is sustainable across Ghana. Our entire site runs on less than 4 gallons a day. It's unheard of. Very small footprints. We could even put a solar filter and footprints at all. In terms of the stench, it is always a bit of a smell at the site. We are minimizing it, but we are also about to put a roof over our tank to further reduce in order for the benefit of the people of Accra.
It separates the water?
Yes, right in here.
He said adaptability of the technology to the Ghanaian environment is constantly being improved. President Mahama said government will vigorously aim at 100% conversions of liquid waste to especially improve Ghana's waters.
Indeed, it's shameful to continue to dump liquid waste in the sea, and so we have to ensure that in the next few months we're able to process 100% of all the liquid waste and discharge safe water. Government is going to support the Accra Metropolitan Authority to be able to ensure that as soon as possible we are able to process 100% of the liquid waste. But I wish to note that there are many lavender hills all over the country. This technology that we've seen, the Danish technology, even after we fully operationalize the new liquid waste sewage treatment plant, the MUDO, we would want to apply this technology in other parts of the country to be able to treat the waste. And the beautiful thing is turn the waste into compost and supply it to farmers, to be able to fertilize their farms.
He said government will liaise with the Danish embassy to start a project which identifies other places in the capital with liquid waste discharging problems so that the technology can be replicated there. The AMA is currently under a court injunction brought by the Environmental Protection Agency to stop fecal dumping into the sea. The beach at Lavender Hill has for many years been a dumping ground for untreated fecal matter. Gifty Andropia, Joynews, Lavender Hill, Accra.
The Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Ghana Police Service from March this year will prosecute all drivers operating at unauthorized lorry terminals. Also, drivers, the Director General of the Department, ACP Ngwobutoge Awuni, says have until the end of April to relocate. Though the notice is meant for commercial transport operators in Accra, officials say the operation will eventually be extended to the various regions.
The proliferation of unauthorized lorry stations in the various capitals has become a nuisance, causing serious vehicular traffic congestion and inconvenience to other road users. Bus stops, curbs and street corners have all been turned into lorry parks. The situation has been blamed on gross indiscipline on the part of commercial drivers whose actions impede movement and free flow of traffic in the capital.
If you look at the statistics, they give us areas where people are being knocked down. The first place is when they are crossing. Two are areas where within the, especially the cities, where people are supposed to get the free flow of, they have to be able to cross freely, but vehicles are impeding their movement.
The tiptoe lane near the Kwame Nkrumah Circle in Accra is one such typical case. Two stations have been sighted on both sides of the road, and the floating commercial vehicles, popularly known as Wawa, along with the station's vehicles here, are responsible for the chaos. Similar unapproved stations can also be identified around Paloma and Las Palmas near the New Plan station. They, however, seem to gain legitimacy once city authorities start taking tolls from them.
But I say I know Kwanti, or my want to say, 10 be an ancestor packet cars and a bear car quan hopi, or my maki baby and my packet could do. By had a permit, or my permit. Every year be renew mine and say they permit. So far, the almost 330 Ghana cedis for a month. At the end of the year, no corridor one work.
At the Road Managers Stakeholders Forum, the issue of shops taking over lorry parks, garbage also occupying half of the road, and permits issued by city authorities were raised. The AMA representative could not readily provide answers as to what goes into the siting of lorry stations in the metropolis, but indicated the assembly would address the issues raised. But the Motor Traffic and Transport Department is going ahead nonetheless once its notice has expired.
And so we are giving them up to the end of April to find a place. Otherwise, I'm directing all MTU men to be all out, all your jurisdictions. And let me assure you, don't get afraid of anybody. Go all out, do your duty as an MTU officer. But like the IGP said yesterday, ensure that you are attached some professionalism to the way that you handle the drivers.
Other stakeholders also pledge their support in enforcing and ensuring sanity on the roads.
As an operator of public transport, you must be duly licensed. So your operation must be licensed. The vehicle you use within the transport operation must be licensed, and the driver must be licensed. That by the end of this October, we will be in a position of licensing public transport operators to operate and be identified. And we're going to do this in liaison with the metropolitan authorities.
Meanwhile, city authorities have also been tasked to provide permits for operating lorry stations at acceptable places. Yafusia Jemfi, Joynews.
The Environmental Protection Agency says it will soon introduce exhaust emission standards to rid the country's roads of smoldering vehicles. The exercise, according to the head of the Environmental and Quality Department, will help reduce the public's exposure to a high concentration of particles emitted from smoking vehicles.
Most motorists may not be aware of the dangers they pose to people's health when their vehicles churn out poisonous exhaust fumes on the streets. These emissions, which are byproducts of exhaust systems, contribute to air pollution and are a major ingredient in the creation of smog. But this, the EPA says, will be addressed with the enforcement of standards that will check the exhaust fumes emissions from vehicles.
We need to know why there's a need to put in place this standard. What are the health implications? What are the environmental implications? What we need to do to safeguard our environment. Currently, we are developing what we call a roadmap to vehicular emission standard and fuel economy. So, knowing that the sulfur content of our fuel is particularly high, together with the NPA and other stakeholders, we're developing this roadmap.
Dr. Edukumi admits that although the standard is long overdue, an intensive stakeholder meeting is ongoing to ensure the standard is soon implemented.
You need to have a measure to know that this are the levels of pollutants that are being released from the vehicles. Without that measure or that standard, you cannot enforce any law. We have to ensure enforcement, compliance. It's very important. We are bringing the thing on the board for strong discussion. So at the end of the day, what we put out there is like a consensus that has been reached, that this is what we can put out there at the moment. With time, we push it higher. So once we are bringing these stakeholders into play, we expect that we will still go to have the dialogue or interaction with them to make sure that we are achieving the desired results.
He adds, with an effective collaboration with the Driver Vehicle License Authority and the Motor Traffic and Transport Division of the Ghana Police Service, a baseline for checking the menace will be developed and motorists found culpable prosecuted.
As a matter of agency, we're going to push it forward so that in the nearest future, that standard will be in place. And that one, when it is ready, it means that it becomes enforceable. Now we can have the DVLA having their roadworthy certificates, also including the levels of emissions. The regime will be such a way that there will be penalties. It means that you have to pay and then go and repair your car. And then if you pass it, then you put on the road. But if it's such that it's go way beyond our minimum, that means that you are going to be banned from even going to be on the road.
He further added an intensive public education would also be rolled out. Matilda Pamaga for Joynews, Accra.
Residents of Tamale have called on the new Northern Regional Minister Alhaji Muna Mohammed Muniru to consider ways of redeeming the falling standards of education, peace, security and also the bad road network in the region. They want him to make the solution to these problems his top priority.
Hundreds of residents, mainly National Democratic Congress supporters, welcomed the new minister from the Tamale Airport to the National Regional Coordinating Council amidst drumming, dancing and display of motorbikes. Some of them who spoke to Joynews called on Alhaji Mohammed Limuna Muniru to work hard to resolve the numerous problems facing the region.
Outstanding issues in Northern region. Most of the developments that we have in Northern are on the route. And we think that the minister will facilitate the activities in achieving the plan that we have to open up all the district capitals to the regional capital.
Another area I think that I would want him to look at is the falling standard of education in the northern part of the country, especially the BEC, where the route and a lot of people fail. I think it's important he looks at it very well. We need to look at the teacher absenteeism, which is a major cause of it. He should be able to meet stakeholders involved, that's regional BES director, the metro. He should meet them and then let them talk to the teachers and also parents who have a very important role to play.
Outgoing Northern Regional Minister Bate Sidden, now Upper West Regional Minister, handed over the administration of the region to his successor. He enumerated some of his successes since assuming office 13 months ago.
I also had a focus on education, and I'm glad about the implementation of the government program of providing community senior high schools in Ghana, with our region receiving the highest of 15 out of the first batch of 50.
Bate Sidden was, however, worried about recent breach of peace in Tamale and Bimbila and cautioned his successor on issues of security in the region.
Certainly, it has not been easy, and it will surely not be easy for some time. But I'm certain that we have made the right choice, which at least shows some light at the end of the tunnel.
Alhaji Mohammed Limuna Muniru advised residents to live up to the truth and help with useful suggestions for the development of the area.
As indicated that within this short period, he has achieved a lot. And definitely, we are going to continue from where he has left off. We are not going to change anything. We are going to continue and make sure that at the end of the day, we achieve total development for this region.
The two regional ministers were later honored in appreciation for their contribution to the northern region.
Abigail Adumakoinchi is up next with business news.
Time now for some business reports with me, Abigail Adumakoinchi. To begin with, Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Nilante van der Poy, says government in its newly adopted national export strategy is set to establish craft villages across the country to boost exports. Speaking at the launch of the 14th Africa Handicrafts Fair in Accra, he indicated that the existing arts and craft markets will be rehabilitated under the strategy.
The 14th International Arts and Handicrafts Trade Show of Ouagadougou, CIAO 2014, provides the opportunity for trade in handicrafts across Africa. Ghana, as a guest country for this year's fair, is hoping to double its volumes of trade with Burkina Faso from the 2012 figure of $203.4 million, which was up from $98.1 million in 2008. Organizers say this edition presents a wide variety of artistic expressions of African creativity and skill Ghana should take advantage of.
This year's edition will notice a major innovation, which will be the increase in the number of the stands. About 550 stands are going to be put in place so that the craftsmen may meet with new artisans from all over the world. Burkina Faso is a country which is well positioned in the area of business. So craftsmen, in order to make things easier for them, so that in the area of handicrafts, we will see how they can better cooperate with all the artisans, especially from the sub-region and also from other countries.
For Ghana, the fair presents an opportunity to improve on the handicraft industry, whose contributions to exports have dwindled in the past 5 years.
The type of handicrafts that Ghana mostly produces needs some innovations. You know, from Tete, from way back, the same Aquaba dolls and so on and so forth may not be the most saleable items in today's consumer market. People now are looking for handicrafts that combine a number of things. So we're going to be engaging some consultants who work in this area. We're also going to be giving our National Association of Handicraft Exporters, which is the primary organ dealing with the handicraft sector, the opportunity to attend fairs where they can maybe pick up ideas and also pick up some business. But this fair that is going to be held in October, November in Burkina Faso is a big opportunity for our handicrafters. We hope they take advantage of it.
Government, meanwhile, admits the lack of sustained investment towards the needed infrastructure in the handicraft sector has contributed to its decline.
It is the ministry's dream and the president's vision that we are able to complete all the craft villages before 2016. The idea is that when we have a concentration of craftsmen, master craftsmen at one particular place, then we are able to give them the machinery and equipment they have, so that they all will have access to the equipment. On their individual levels, they are not able to get the sort of equipment they need in order to have a best and good finished product. The government is pumping a lot of money into Petwe this year. The land acquisition, everything has been done. There are a lot of technical work is being done now with the drawing designs and everything. Bolga. We're also going to work on Eburi. We started. We're going to improve upon Eburi. We're also looking at Kumasi and Accra. Abrafo also is another place.
The CIAO 2014, which is under the theme African Handicrafts, Women Entrepreneurship and Social Promotion, comes off between 31st October to 9th November.
Well, to some energy matters which may interest you, the Nigerian government has expressed commitment to continue supply of gas to Ghana to operate its thermal power plants. Top officials of the West African oil giant made a commitment at current meetings held with the Minister for Energy and Petroleum, Emmanuel on Tuesday, March 18. The Energy Minister, accompanied by the Chief Executive of the Volta River Authority, Mr. Ke Kofi, was in Nigeria Monday for discussions with suppliers in a bid to boost gas supply to Ghana. As part of the media update on the current power situation held on Friday, March 14, 2014, the ministry claimed that one of the causes for the load management exercise being carried out by the Electricity Company of Ghana was because of the erratic and very low levels of gas supply from Nigeria, resulting in Ghana unable to power its thermal power plants to full capacity. After intense negotiations with the Minister for Petroleum of the Republic of Nigeria, officials of the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation, Shell and Chevron, who together from Gas and who are the suppliers of the natural gas to Ghana, the Ghanaian team was briefed about the causes of the low levels of gas supply and assured of a constant supply of 50 mmb up from the 30 mmb or less being supplied in recent times. The committed 50 mmb falls far short of the contractual volumes of 123 mmb, but could immediately at least keep the Sanu Nasogli plants running. The team also consulted with officials of the West Africa Gas Pipeline Company and the West Africa Gas Pipeline Authority and explored over other potential private gas suppliers. The ongoing rationing of power across the country has been necessitated partly by a sharp drop in the volumes of gas received from Nigeria through the West Africa Gas Pipeline. Away from that, government has no plans of lifting the ban on the inland deportation of rice following the outcry of local importers to lift the ban. Deputy Trade Minister Nilante van der Poel told me the ban will help government track the amount of rice coming into the country and ensure the economy accrues the needed revenues.
Importation of rice. What is in place is a restriction of importation of rice to 3 main ports: Tema, Kotoka and Takrady. So in order for us to be able to know and to track the amount of money we are spending on rice and how much rice we are importing into the system, that will give us an idea, the data, as to what we have to do in order to also produce more to improve upon our revenue. Because we are spending a lot of money in importing rice. So if we know how much rice we are consuming as a people, then we'll be able to produce or inject that sort of capital into the production of that rice, so that we reduce our dependence on for imported rice. That is one issue that we are doing. It's to be able to make us, because as a country, it's difficult for us to right now, if we have all these our borders open for rice to come in, we are not able to really get the true statistics of how much rice we are consuming, how much rice is coming to the country, how much we are spending on the importation of rice. So that's what we want to do basically, but not to, but it is a desire of government that as much as possible by next year, next 2 years, we'll increase our local rice production to about 85%. We are hovering around 60% now, but we think we can go to 85% by next year. And government strategically wants to start something this year. We are going to improve upon our irrigation systems, and we are going to make sure that we galvanize the rice farmers in order to produce more, in order to feed the domestic market. And possibly, who knows, by in 5 years' time, we'll be able to be self-sufficient in rice and even export rice.
Well, Nilante van der Poel spoke to me earlier today, but looks like the long-awaited EPA has been concluded. Well, the country would from next year be required to gradually open up the economy to imports from Europe without the required duties on them. According to the European Union, it has concluded discussions with West African countries on the Economic Partnership Agreement. However, goods like rice and sugar would attract the necessary taxes. Speaking at a meeting with newsmen in Accra ahead of EU delegation to Ghana, Claude Martin says the agreement should be seen as the best way for continuous access to the EU market. The ambassador's comments appears to be in sharp contrast to the recent decision by West African ministers to engage various interest groups before signing the full EPA. Even though Ghana would have 100% access to the European market if it signs the Economic Partnership Agreement with the EU, the country would lose $300 million in revenue every year. So we still wait if Ghana would sign on to the EPA as West Africa has concluded on it. And that would be at the end of business news. My name is Abigail Admakwentri. Sports, as usual, comes up next.
Time to check out what is actually top of the sports agenda this evening. And the Minister of Youth and Sports, Elvis Afriyanka, says profits to be made from the 2014 FIFA World Cup will be used to fund other sporting disciplines. The sports minister also set the record straight about monies realized from the nation's participation in a previous World Cup appearances.
Experience in 2014, we are being innovative, and we have proposed that we use the money looking at our peculiar circumstances. So we use the money, part of it for development of other sports and other infrastructure. The Pram Pram Soccer Center of Excellence is an FA and a football, facility. So it's also going into football. But I think that people should even be commending the FA. Rather than saying they'll be rigid and say, look, by the rules, this money is for football. So football at all costs. So I think that we look at our peculiar situations and we become innovative, looking at our current circumstances. Everybody knows that the other sports do not attract so much funding. Yeah.
Now, the Honourable Afriyanka also noted that those demanding accountability from government over the 11 million prize money gained from the 2010 World Cup in South Africa should rest their case because the funds went into the consolidated fund and cannot be retrieved.
The 2010 prize money went into government chest, the consolidated fund, and we all benefited. That is why as we evolve, in 26, that was our first experience. So some of it was given to the FA and all that. 2010, for those of you who will be very honest, there was a cacophony of noise, And so the minister just said, look, I just want to let's give this money to government and let me wash my hands. True or false? You were there. It's true. It's not, it's true. Okay? So that money is gone. When money goes to the consolidated fund, those of you who did accounting, that accounting year is gone. So you may talk about it, feel free as a Democrat, but it won't come back. So really.
All right, so the money might be gone for the Black Stars, but the Black Satellites are preparing. And head coach of the Black Satellites, Celestetta, says he has a fair idea of players who will make his squad for the upcoming African Under-20 qualifiers in a few weeks' time. The team has rounded up his justifiers, and coach Celestetta tells Joy Sports he's sure of his core team.
Well, now we've got the mainstay of the team, because we've done 3 screening exercises. We've picked 30 out of the screening exercises. Now we're going to start our main project now. So from the night we enter camp, then we start working. Then from there, we eliminate by substitution until we get the best for the country.
How difficult is it for you to select a pool of players like that, and at some point you have to phase them out?
I'm enjoying it. Making friends, seeing new players, trying to unearth talents. It's a lot of enjoyment, a lot of interest, entertainment, and I'm enjoying it. Though it's difficult, but I've been going through this for a pretty long time, and definitely you cannot satisfy all. You do your best to the best of your conscience and see what comes out of it.
Right, that's your sports. My name is George Adi Jr. Israel is joining us with some more. Don't go anywhere. Have a good night.
Family and friends of the late Atani's manager Finek Otri gathered at the Spintex residence on Thursday to celebrate 1 week of his death and also set a date for his final funeral rites.
It's been exactly 1 week since the news of the death of Atani's manager of Kwakese, Finek Otri, hits the entertainment industry. Per the Akan tradition, family members, colleagues, friends and some industry players gathered at the deceased residence to observe exactly 1 week of his passing. Some loved ones of the late Finek Otri shared some fond memories of him and what they will remember him for.
There's so much that I remember him for. I mean, he was just
always just a phone call away. I mean, there's nothing that I would do that I wouldn't discuss it with him, and he would suggest ways of doing it better or make other suggestions as to how we could improve upon it.
Fennec was a brother, he was a friend. He was in charge of my food, my drinks. He was in charge of my radio production.
Fennec is my son, though not biological, but Fennec is my true son, you know, because he treated me like a father and treated me like a son, you know. People don't need blood relations for them to get that far in life, and that is how I've known him over the past 11 years.
Fennec was the light of our class. He joined us in July after he missed a couple of models, so he joined us in July. And I remember that day, the first day, we're having a graduation for the previous year, and he sat by me, and the words he said were, "Oh, I really want to graduate, and when I graduate, I'm going to sit by you."
I was close to Fennec. I'm actually a Nigerian, and whenever we come in to study, he's a very vibrant fellow, very friendly, very, you know, caring. And he was a friend as well.
David Nanasari, a member of the funeral committee, threw some light on the funeral arrangements.
So there's a lot of tax on us to perform, because we know he's not a public figure, because people will come, so we'll do our best. But we'll also, I'll use your medium to appeal to the other media houses to bear with us, because people will come, they want to have a lot of interviews. At least they should be able to abide by what rules and procedures that we'll put in place, so that at least we'll have a good funeral, a befitting funeral for our brother.
Until his sudden death, Fennec Oche was the manager and brain behind the strong Kwaukese brand. Showbiz can only wish his family our sincere condolence.
To wrap up the bulletin, a recap of our top stories. The 2012 presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party has declared he will contest the flag bearership of the party for the 2016 election. The NDC's General Secretary, Emmanuel, says the decision is welcome, describing him as easy prey, who makes their chances a lot brighter. MP calls for resignation of Accra Mayor, he says, should be held accountable for multi-story structure collapse at Iboi town, resulting in one death. President Mahama pledges to support AMA to end dumping of human excreta directly into the sea at Lavender Hill. And Police, Motor Traffic and Transport Department to crack down on unauthorized transport terminals from March this year. We also have business. That's it for the bulletin. My name is Israelai.